TGIF, folks. Thank goodness it's Friday. You're rocking and rolling right here on the hottest show in these streets. Talking your Bama football news in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We'll be back in studio, folks, Monday, recapping the first scrimmage of fall camp. So on Monday, we'll be back in studios, taking your phone calls, your thoughts, your conversations from the first scrimmage of fall practice, that being on tomorrow. But right now being Friday, I want you to go crazy in the comment section tonight from the home location. We're taking your thoughts, taking your comments on the show. Hit that like button, smash the like button, show your boys some love. Hit that thumbs up, get those like levels up right there. Hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure this place right here, your spot, your number one shop for all things Alabama football entertainment. We got you covered right here on the show. The daily Super Chat Go, $100. Daily Super Chat Go, $100 right there. We appreciate that coming from all of you. But like I said, we got quite a few things to talk about tonight. The first scrimmage of fall camp tomorrow. I will be out there. Now, of course, I'll be getting the Kalen DeBoer press conference after the scrimmage, and I've got some eyes that'll be out there watching the scrimmage. So we'll be getting some big-time news and notes from what took place out there and passing them on to you, the Alabama football fans. But we get in the comment section right now to start tonight's show. So how about my man, Warrior, with the Road Tide? Appreciate you being in here, Happy to have you in the building. Jeremy Matthews writes in, Road Tide Row. Happy to have you in here, Jeremy. We got my man, Lionel 205, which is actually Lakeith Williams. So Lakeith, under a new name in here with the Road Tide Row. Happy to see you in here, Lakeith. Lorenzo Anderson with the Road Tide. Happy to see you here, Lorenzo GT18. Giving us an RTR, Road Tide Row from GT18. My man Jay Lee with the Road Tide, everyone. Appreciate you, Jay Lee. Coach One and two steps his way in here. Road Tide Row, hashtag Lank. That first scrimmage tomorrow for your Crimson Tide. Don Parker in the building. Good evening, everyone. And Road Tide, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, Don Parker. Brian Russell giving us that Road Tide. Appreciate you, Brian. Keith Williams writes back in. He's watching Pittsburgh and Houston play. We are seeing NFL preseason football right now. Prayers up to DeMarco Hellams, former Alabama defensive back. DeMarco got hurt for the Atlanta Falcons in its preseason matchup there, so hopefully everything okay with DeMarco Hellams. Brian Russell writes back in, I can't believe it's finally here. Yes. The first scrimmage of fall camp tomorrow at Bryant-Denny. Once again, I will be there representing Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I will get to be in Coach DeBoer's press conference, and I'll have different people I know that will be at the scrimmage who will share with me the information that went on there so I can pass it on to you guys. The godfather of the SEC, my man Waylon, with hello, everyone. Happy to have you in here, Waylon, on a Friday. Don Parker writes back in, hashtag Lank. There it is right there. Hashtag Lank. Let's support our Crimson Tide. Also support Stephen and TDA for this wonderful news and content. Subscribe, hit the like button, send them super chats. Don Parker, know what's up. Subscribe, hit the like button, get the super chats, because we are bringing you all of the news and content coverage coming from fall camp where your Alabama football is concerned. My man Waylon writes back in, I am ready to rock, TGIF. Everybody excited. It's Friday. The weekend is here. Everybody got that payday, paycheck. And then you got Alabama football first scrimmage of fall camp, that being on tomorrow. Jeremy Matthews writes in, almost that time. I got my title towel and keychain ready. So Jeremy's got the gear. He's got the title towel on deck. He's got the keychain ready. He is set to go. We got my man Don Parker and Waylon both shouting at each other. My man Ant Ford, BBQ with the Roll Tide. Appreciate your Ant. Dale B giving the Roll Tide to my man Waylon, Godfather of the SEC. Don Parker writes back in, it's time to find out who's hungry for that playing time. I'm hoping Bama gets to play and develop a lot of multiple positions. Let's see who can contribute to winning football. Tomorrow, Don's going to be a big day because you look at it here. It's about playing fast, playing smart, playing physical, playing sound, but most importantly, getting the guys out there that the coaching staff doesn't have to stand behind. They know what they're doing on the field when those lights come on and it's time to play football, even in this exhibition type of thing with the first scrimmage. We got Dale B riding in Roll Tide. Steven, right back at you. Dale B, happy to have you in here in the show. Christian Hughes writes in Roll Tide, Bama Nation. Proud to have you here, Christian, as well. Andy Kaufman, Roll Tide, boy! Hey, Andy, happy to have you in here. Absolutely. Happy to have all of you guys in here checking out the show on a Friday. You guys are excited here about this first scrimmage, as you should be. It's the first one of fall camp. We're getting a chance to see a lot of good stuff here. And we transition into the first topic of conversation, getting into the first scrimmage. So, like I mentioned, this event on tomorrow is a big one because this is where the players, they go inside Bryant-Denny. You've repped, you've practiced on, you've gotten some things installed. You went through the first 6 days of camp. So now the coaching staff is wondering, how much have you learned? What have you applied? How good are you in this playbook the first 6 days or after the first 6 days of camp? So you turn the lights on at Bryant-Denny. You got the referees out there. You're going through different situations of games, whether it's third down situations, red zone situations, driving the ball up and down the field, trying to protect the ball from having turnovers. If you're a defense, trying to force turnovers. There are several different situations that happen on the field when you look at the first scrimmage. And what the coaching staff has its eye on the most is which players can go out there, execute, play fast, play sound, play with confidence, play with the understanding of, I know what I'm doing on the field, and I don't necessarily need the coaches breathing over my shoulder. I know what I'm doing out there. So this first scrimmage will tell a lot of that. And when you look at just some position groups that'll be of the utmost interest in the first scrimmage, number one, I look at the offensive tackle position. Your interior offensive line, that's already set. You know what you have there in Tyler Booker, Parker Brauseford, Jaden Roberts. This first scrimmage, we're looking primarily at the offensive tackles. Caden Proctor, Elijah Pritchett, Wilkin Formby. You have 3 dudes and 2 spots. Who is going to take these 2 spots at both tackle positions? So that's your first thing. Coach Chris Kaplovich, Alabama's offensive line coach, he's been repping, he's been mixing and matching all 3 guys, Pritchett, Proctor, Formby, at both tackle positions. So in this first scrimmage, we're going to get our first taste of who steps up, which 2 guys step up and take each of the 2 tackle spots. So that's the first position of interest. Number 2, I think backup quarterback, right? Jalen Milroe's the starter. Nobody's debating that. Nobody's debunking that. Nobody's refuting that. Jalen Milroe's the starter, right? So who is the primary number 2 guy? Who's the primary backup? And this is where Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan, Austin Mack, here's a big scrimmage for them. Ty Simpson has been the number 2 guy in warm-ups and practice throughout the first 6 sessions. Here's a guy that's added some weight to his frame, added 12 pounds to be exact, going from 203 to 215. He has bulked up. The former 5-star from Martin, Tennessee in the 2022 class. He put in a lot of work this offseason. And in a conversation with one Jacob Coker, the former Alabama quarterback and 2015 national champion, it just raved about it was so impressive seeing Ty Simpson stick around when he could have left, pursued the NCAA transfer portal after Saban's retirement. He could have went anywhere in college football and became a starter, but he chose to stick it out in Tuscaloosa. He chose to hang tight, believe in what Coach DeBoer, his message, his philosophy, and then most importantly, patient to get his chance to shine when that chance comes, which more than likely will be upon Jalen Milroe leaving, depending on what he does throughout this season. But Ty Simpson, he's bulked up the body, bigger, stronger. We know what he is as an arm talent, right? Saw it in high school. He's progressed with it through the spring and through the offseason. So this is a big scrimmage for him. This is a big scrimmage for Dylan Larnigan, right? Former four-star redshirt freshman out of powerhouse Brookwood High School in Georgia. Here's a guy that in the spring of 2023, people are talking about maybe he's the best quarterback on the roster when you look at spring ball that time around during that period. You look at Larnigan, he can throw a frozen rope out there to wide receivers. Very talented, very gifted arm. Going back to he was a pitcher in high school also, with being a high school quarterback. And throughout practice, we've seen moments where Austin Mack has been the number 3 quarterback in drills in front of Larnigan. And we've seen moments where Larnigan has been the number 3 guy in those sessions. So can Dylan Larnigan take an even bigger jump, or at the very least keep that spot as the number 3 guy in this rotation here? That's going to be intriguing. And then last but not least, how much of a growth does Austin Mack make in this first scrimmage? Because he's the one that has the most knowledge of the Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan system coming from Washington with them. This guy's a freshman at 6'6", can make a lot of off-platform throws, has that type of ability, has that type of skill set. How much growth can Austin Mack make? Can he make the growth where we're going, oh my gosh, has he jumped Larnigan? And can he jump Ty Simpson? Is it that kind of growth that we see from Austin Mack in the first scrimmage? That's going to be something to keep our eyes on. So the first game-like practice of fall camp, I think the number 2 position of interest is backup quarterback behind Jalen Milroe. Number 3, I look at tight end. I know a lot of people would say Stephen wide receiver. You got to have wide receiver right here. And I can understand that. But the reason why I'm going to go tight end is the national championship years that Alabama had in the Nick Saban era during his 17-year run. The tight end was involved in the passing game. Whether it was a Michael Williams, a Brad Smelly, an O.J. Howard, when they chose to finally get him the football, an Irv Smith, a Miller Forrestall. You saw national championships come from that. What could have been if Amari Nyblack would have stuck around, right? So what could have been if Jaleel Billingsley would have just stuck around and stuck it out, right? So the tight end position, this is a room where it doesn't matter where Kalen DeBoer has gone, that tight end has stood out. That tight end or multiple tight ends have had success. So what do we see Saturday from that position? We know C.J. Dupree is expected to be the number 1 guy in that room, but who steps up behind him? You have Robbie Oots. You have Josh Cuevas, the transfer from Washington. You have Danny Lewis Jr., who's made the most progression so far in fall camp. You've got Ty Lockwood, who's good. You got Jay Lindsey, true freshman, of whom Brian Ellis, tight ends coach, really likes, just trying to get him more flexible in his hips. So the tight end room, who steps up behind C.J. Dupree, providing that security blanket for one Jalen Milroe at the quarterback position? That's a position that you got to keep your eyes on. Another one, the cornerback room, the defensive secondary, primarily at cornerback. You got Damani Jackson. You've got Deshaun Jones, the 2 transfers. You have Jalen Mbakwe, Xavier Brown, Zay Mincy. These guys had strong fall camps as young players, freshmen, Jaleel Hurley in there as well. Who steps up the most first scrimmage being able to defend these wide receivers? Because you've got track athletes out here when you discuss Kendrick Law, Emmanuel Henderson, Kobe Prentice, Cole Adams, Ryan Williams. You've got speedsters out here, right? And you've got guys that can run routes like Bubba Hampton, Caleb Odom. So when you look at these DBs, which one of these cornerbacks is able to hold down, limit these receivers from creating, making the big play? So that defensive back, defensive secondary, that'll be a position of interest here in this first scrimmage. And then, not just the corner position, my eyes will be on that Husky spot too. Devontae Smith, how does he perform in that Husky spot? Red Morgan, can the freshman take even more of a jump in that Husky spot? And then you've got King Mack, the transfer from Penn State. What does he do? What does he provide in that first scrimmage? And then last but not least for me, the edge rushers, the pass rushers. That's a position of interest. Whether you look at the defensive end, the bandit spot up front, or whether you look at the wolf at the outside linebacker position, the pass rushers who can consistently affect the quarterback, create sacks, create negative plays, and generate some turnovers in the first scrimmage. So those are the positions of interest for me when you discuss offensive tackle, backup quarterback, tight end, defensive secondary, primarily cornerbacks, and the edge rushers, the pass rush guys. But for you as fans, what would you have as the positions of interest going into Bama's first scrimmage on tomorrow? Definitely drop that in the comment section. I'll begin to those. We're going to take our first break on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting you started. When we get back, we get to your comments right after this. But first, a word from our guys, our partners at Alumni Hall. We're out here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa. Oh, yeah, this. Oh, man. Gotta get this. Gotta get one of these right here. Can't rock that Bama without this shirt right here, fresh polo. You gotta also rock the all pink, like Kanye West right there. Keychains, gotta get you some keychains. University of Alabama keychains. I'm telling you, if you are a die-hard Alabama fan and you're looking for some big-time apparel, this place has got everything. We're talking shirts, shoes, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, keychains. If you're just a Tide fan that has an itch to get more apparel, get more swag in your game, you come right here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa, right here in Midtown Village. And also you can shop online. The link is in the description to get your gear right here at Alumni Hall. That's right, folks. Alumni Hall, our partners at Tuscaloosa, Midtown Village. Check them out. Check them out. Get all of your gear right there at Alumni Hall. But we get to the comment section right here. As we're back from the break, Hottest Show on the Streets, talking Bama football news. In my own words, we're going to start with my guy Jeremy Matthews right here. I'm ready to see what the defense is going to do. Who's going to rise up and challenge and be the alpha dogs up front here? I'm excited for this defense, Jeremy. I'm looking forward to seeing this defensive line, pass rushers, these linebackers, guys in the secondary. Looking forward to watching this group under Kane Womack in the position and the assistant coaches on that side of the ball in the first scrimmage. Brian Russell writes in, who is going to be that head hunter? You got several guys. Deontay Lawson, Jihad Campbell, Justin Jefferson. That'd be one of these Wolf guys, Quandarius Robinson, Keanu Coote, Yancey Pierre, Quay Russaw. You got guys that can be head hunters, Brian, in this group. Going to be fun to watch, though. The first scrimmage, when we get those reports after that, who is starting to step up, who is starting to take on that moniker, if you will, in being a headhunter. Don Parker writes in, Stephen, have to ask, keys for tomorrow's scrimmage, one thing that will be big, the center to quarterback exchange. Yes, proper snapping will be big. But I think the keys for the scrimmage will be communication, execution, for the offense, how many big plays can you create? How many drives you can sustain? Can you have a mixture of big plays and good sustained drives? Defensively, it's going to be how much pressure you can create, how much turnovers you can create, and then on the defensive line, how much of a push you can generate every single time. But if it's a game, if it's a scrimmage where great communication, great play on the field, very few penalties, and for goodness sake, no injuries out there, then it's a strong scrimmage. It is a strong first scrimmage there. We got Godfather of the SEC, my man Waylon. Also remember Fan Day Appreciation, August 11th, that being Sunday. Gates open at 1:15. Let's blow it up. You are correct, Waylon. Saturday's the first scrimmage, but Sunday is Fan Day and the open practice. Open practice is at 11:30. If I'm not mistaken, you get there early, 10:30. You get in there to watch the open practice. And once it's over, you got Fan Day. The fans running on the field, getting those autographs from coaches and players. So definitely be out there Sunday for Alabama football Fan Day. So we got here Don Parker with the $10 donation. He says, let's go. Don Parker dropping in that love there in the bucket. Appreciate him. GT18 writes in, Brian, responding to Brian, my man Brian, not sure yet, but I would bet on Russo. I think Russo's a headhunter. I think Quay Russo's a big-time headhunter. Brian Russell comes back. Who will be returning punts and kickoffs on special teams with a working Ryan Williams use that electricity? I'll say this. I would like to see Mbakwe, kickoff returns, punt returns, Emmanuel Henderson, Cole Adams in that, Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. in that, maybe Bubba Hampton in that. You could maybe see Ryan Williams in that if they're not 100% sold on just having him as a wide receiver. We'll see. But the guy that I really want to have that electricity used in returning kickoffs and punts would be my guy, Jalen Mbakwe, but that's just me. We got Delby with the $20 donation. Let's rock and roll, baby. Let's roll. Let's go. Roll Tide. Delby dropping that $20 in the bucket right there. That daily super chat go, $100 daily. Super chat go, $100 right there. Let's see, GT18. I have tons of respect for Ty Simpson. That young man loves the Crimson Tide. That's loyalty, something that is lost in this era, but he still has it, absolutely. And the transfer portal era, you know, that staying there and kind of waiting your time, you don't see that anymore. So to see Ty Simpson do that, stick around, you know, wait his time. Proud of that young man. Looking forward to seeing how he contributes here to this team, this roster. Don writes back in, since this is the first scrimmage of fall camp, I'm looking forward to knowing those players who aren't talked about but really show up and show out when the lights shine bright. I know we got them. That's the big thing. When you turn the lights on Don Parker, who's a baller, who's a gamer, and who's not, right? That's what that first scrimmage is going to show you. When those lights get turned on inside BDS, who's a baller, who's a gamer, who's ready right now, and who's not. That's the big thing. Who's ready to play with their hair on fire but being smart about it, and who's not. So I'm really, truly excited to watch this. Let's see here. Brian Russell writes back in, a lot going on. Yes, a lot is going on. You got first scrimmage tomorrow. You got Fan Day Sunday. You got NFL preseason football. You got the Olympics going on. There's a lot happening right now when you talk about the sporting realm. So this is exciting. This is exciting. Here we go. And Brian Russell writes back in, utilize a tight end. Heck yeah, utilize a tight end. You got to get that position of football. You got to get that position the football. And I think in this first scrimmage, if you're King and the Boar, if you're Nick Sheridan, you got to find ways to get that spot, the tight end room, the football. Don Parker says here, we also need to see how the interior of the D-line performs tomorrow in the run game, also providing pressure and pass rush. These positions are key to the success on defense. The D-line, stopping the run, right? Yes. Winning your one-on-one matchup, absolutely. And then when it's time for you to make a play on the quarterback, the defensive linemen, the guys up front who can win their one-on-one matchups and make a play on the quarterback, that's going to be crucial right there in the first scrimmage, absolutely. Coach Juan writes in, the secondary is his biggest position of interest. There you go right there from Coach Juan, the secondary right there. GT18 for tomorrow's scrimmage. I would like to see what the corners are going to look like, how good they will defend. Can we effectively shut down receivers? That's big there, GT. Can you limit the big play from these receivers? That will be my thing for the corners. Can you limit the big play? You may not be able to limit everything, but can you limit the big bomb? If you can limit the big bombs, if you can take away the big bombs from these receivers, and most importantly, the corners tackling, breaking down and tackling, that's kind of been an issue the last few years or so. Breaking down in space and tackling. So if I can see crisp tackling and limiting the big play, you may not be able to take away everything. But if you can tackle and if you can limit the big play, I take both of those as wins from the cornerback position. Don Parker writes back in, get a pass rush, then the secondary can develop. A pass rush will be the secondary's best friend this season. That starts with the interior guys. The edge rush will feed off the interior guys. So the interior guys, Tim Keenan, Jaheim Otis, guys like that, getting that consistent pass rush up the middle onto the quarterback. And then also guys like Jamarian Latham, Tam Smith, getting that consistent pass rush, affecting the vision, affecting the playmaking ability of the quarterback. Coach Warren writes in, the players who transfer, they are going to regret it. I feel like they are also, because this defense is tailor-made for those guys that transferred, and even this offense is tailor-made for those guys that transfer. But you know what? It is what it is. Christian Hughes writes in, I like to see how good our new kicker is. Those are big shoes to fill. Christian, you're correct. Losing Will Riker to the NFL was no laughing matter, right? Will Riker doing great for the Minnesota Vikings, but Graham Nicholson, the transfer from University of Miami in Ohio, the Lou Groza Award winner, how does he do? How does Graham Nicholson perform? He's been good the first 6 sessions of fall camp, but when the lights come on, you're in Bryant Denny in an exhibition like this, and you're kicking, and you're being depended on to put 3 points on the board. How does Graham Nicholson do? The kicking game will be of the utmost essence. James Knox writes in, road tide to I die to the in my own words, TDA family. Appreciate you, James Knox, checking in right there. Ralph Bryan giving everybody a roll tide, and Ralph also writes in, I want to know, will the running backs be able to get those tough yards when we need them? Well, Ralph, check this out. Richard Young's added weight. He's now 215 pounds. So he's added weight. So he'll be able to get them tough yards. Justice Haynes has added weight. So he'll be able to get them tough yards. Jam Miller, he'll be able to get them tough yards. So I think Alabama's running backs will be able to get those tough yards, especially those guys that I put on a little bit extra weight there. Christ Warrior writes in, how much of the offense will be called by Nick/DeBoer? Nick Sheridan will call the plays. Nick Sheridan, Chris Warrior will call the plays. He'll call the plays. DeBoer's an offensive mind. He's an offensive savant. It'll be a collaborative effort offensively, but ultimately, when the headset comes on, Nick Sheridan will be calling the plays. Kalen DeBoss writes in, the secondary will get tested the first 2 games. Secondary will be tested. I know Western Kentucky is going to want to throw the football, as well as South Florida. So that'll be interesting for both of those matchups. Don Parker writes in, Steve, you bring up a great point. One thing we need to keep an eye on is how well the defense tackles as a unit. That has been an issue at times in recent seasons. Don, tackling is huge. Tackling is huge. In recent seasons, I've seen a lot of arm tackles. I've seen guys not bring their body. I've seen guys not wrap up. I've seen guys try to meet a running back in the hole. They're getting all cute, and the running back runs right over them. Firm tackling. Got to have it this season. Firm, wrap up, technique tackling. Got to have it this season. Mike G writes in, I'm not buying Ole Miss being top 5. There's a lot of heat, Mike G, on Kiffin this year, right? Because of what he did in the NCAA transfer portal, getting a lot of players out of the portal. So people are expecting Ole Miss to be good this year. People are expecting Ole Miss to be a playoff team. You even got some people expecting Ole Miss to possibly make it to the national championship game. The one thing for Ole Miss is, can Kiffin stay out of Kiffin's way? If Lane Kiffin can stay out of Lane Kiffin's own way, then that's a miracle in itself. Brian Russell writes in, Young for the tough yards. Young is an old school downhill physical back. He is. He's at weight. He's old school. One cut, get downhill, bring the pain. Bama's got a 3-headed monster here at running back with Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, and Richard Young. So I think you're going to be able to run the football the way you want to with these guys. Bob Rutherford writes, give us a roll tide, roll at the heart right there. Appreciate you, Bob, being a part of the show. And everybody that's been writing in so far, commenting in so far, continue to drop into the comment section your biggest position group of interest entering the first scrimmage on tomorrow. What is your biggest position group of interest? Right now, we're going to quickly get into topic number 2 here of the conversation on tonight's show here, topic number 2. And for that, we go to the Alabama running back room. The running backs look to be more versatile this season. I got a chance to speak to running back coach Robert Gillespie, and though this offense is going to want to throw the ball downfield, it's going to want to get those big vertical passing plays, but at the same time, that's going to open up creases in the run game for these backs. But it's going to also open up dump offs to the flat, different routes that the backs can run, whether it be wheel routes, routes in the flat, little curl routes. The running backs are going to have opportunities here in the passing game, people. And they like that. And this is what the National Football League has become at the running back position. You just can't, take the ball and run between the tackles anymore. You got to have some type of versatility in your game to catch the football as well as a receiver. Coach Gillespie talked about he's brought up so much of Jahmyr Gibbs' tape to these players because Gibbs, perfect example, Gibbs 2022 was the biggest bright spot of Alabama's offense half the time. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs as a running back led Alabama's receiver room with 44 catches? Yeah, like 44 catches for 400 plus receiving yards and 3-4 touchdown catches. Like Gibbs did everything. Gibbs did everything. There's a reason why he was a first-round pick by the Detroit Lions, and having such a strong NFL career right now early in his tenure is what he's able to do in the receiving game. And just like the tight end position, when the running back has been involved in the passing game, that has led to national championships. You go back to the 2009 season with Mark Ingram, when he had like 32 catches that year, 334 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, won the Heisman Trophy. 2011, Trent Richardson was involved in the passing game. You get a national championship off that. 2017, Josh Jacobs involved in the passing game. You get a national championship off that. 2020, Najee Harris was extremely involved in the passing game. I think Najee that year, 42 catches, 425 yards, 4 touchdowns. the previous season, 2019, with Najee had like 7 touchdown catches. So when the running back has been involved in the passing game, big things have happened also. And so J.M. Miller's got that versatility. Richard Young's got that versatility. Working with Justice Haynes, I think he's got that type of versatility. So it's gonna be quarterbacks throwing the ball down the field, but that's gonna open up a lot for that running back in the passing game. And this group is excited. This group is pumped up. They're ready to be able to catch the football, make moves, score touchdowns, do so many things well to frustrate an opposing defense. Excel in so many areas that you're able to frustrate a defense, to bother a defense, to confuse a defense, to have a defense playing on its heels. And Jeremy Bernard, transferred wide receiver from Washington, he talked about he sees his offense scoring 40-plus points a game. Well, in order to do that, you got to have every part of your offense be dangerous. You have to have every part of your offense be electric, and having the running backs catch the ball all over the field and show their moves is a part of that electricity that you as fans want to see. But I'm going to go to a quick break here. Don't touch that dab. When we get back, we will dive more into your comments, getting your thoughts, getting you guys pumped up for the first scrimmage of fall camp, that being tomorrow. But now we go back to a word from our sponsors, from our partners, that being Alumni Hall. We're out here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Gotta get this. Gotta get one of these right here. Can't rock that Bama without this shirt right here, fresh polo. You gotta also rock the all pink, like Kanye West right there. Keychains, gotta get you some keychains. University of Alabama keychains. I'm telling you, if you are a die-hard Alabama fan and you're looking for some big-time apparel, this place has got everything. We're talking shirts, shoes, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, keychains. If you're just a Tide fan that has an itch to get more apparel, get more swag in your game, you come right here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa, right here in Midtown Village. And also you can shop online. The link is in the description to get your gear right here at Alumni Hall. That's it, baby. Our people, Alumni Hall, Midtown Village, T-Town, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You get all that gear, whether it's the keychains, whether it's the nice shirts, hats, whatever your flavor is. You get you that gear right there at Alumni Hall. But right now, we're back into the conversation, your comment section here on the show. GT18 writes in, I have no doubt about our running backs. As long as our offensive line, as long as our O-line opens those holes, as I'm sure they will, our running backs will dominate. As long as the offensive line does its job, I think the O-line is going to be just fine this year, or better than fine this year. The running back should be more of an okay. My man Jimmy, the bad man Clay, with the road tie. Happy to have you in here, Jimmy. Happy to have you in here, Jimmy. He writes in, let's go Bama. Jimmy Clay's ready. He's ready. We're all ready. Don Parker has his positions of interest. He's got number 1, interior D-line, number 2, O-line, number 3, special teams as a whole, number 4, secondary play, number 5, quarterback, Milroe, and the short to intermediate touch throws. Also, let's add overall attitude of the team and attention to detail. So that's a good 5 there, Don. That's a good 5 there. So he's got his positions of interest lined out for us right here. Let's see. Mike G writes in, Oklahoma is the biggest unknown in football. It's going to be interesting to see them in the SEC, especially if they beat Texas. Oklahoma will be very interesting. Coach Brent Venables, very good coach, very good defensive mind. They were able to get some guys in the portal to help them out. Yes, they lost the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, but they were able to find a guy to replace him. They return a lot on defense. Alabama goes to Norman to play the Sooners. That's going to be a fun matchup. So Oklahoma, a bit of an unknown, But like you mentioned, Mike G, if they beat Texas, and if they beat some teams in the SEC that some people have them losing to, the Sooners could have a good year. They're going to have a good year. My man Jimmy Badman Bucket Clay Cash Money with the $50 donation, the Super Chats. Let's do it, man. Let's go Bama. That $50 coming from Jimmy Clay. Appreciate all of you guys donating to the show, making this your spot here for all things Bama. The daily Super Chat go $100. Daily Super Chat go $100 right there. We appreciate that from you. Mike G writes in Milrow. Big scrimmage from Milrow right here. I mean, short to intermediate passing game is going to be huge for him. We know what he can do with the deep ball. We know what he can do as an athlete. But the 10 to 15-yard throws to either side of the boundary, that's what we want to see, the growth there from Milrow. He made it throughout the offseason, but can he make it right here, first scrimmage of fall camp? Brian Russell writes in, man, I am stoked about Bernard. Germ is going to be really good. Germ right now is one of the 3 leading receivers in drills at practice. It's Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice. Germ is in for a monster season. He's in for a very, very good year. Brian writes in, he got the eye of a tiger. He wants the ball. Germ wants the ball. Germ learned from 3 receivers at Washington who all got drafted in Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. He took lessons from all 3 that got drafted. So I'm looking forward to watching Jeremy Bernard. Don Parker, I want to see if this team can play to the standard and how it handles adversity. These things are measurables in the scrimmage. I'm hoping the coaches don't make it easy for them tomorrow. The coaches don't make it easy for them, Don. They turn the lights on, and they're like, hey, don't look at us. You've been practicing the last six sessions. Go out there and show us what you can do. Go out there and show us how you can ball on the field. Go out there and prove to us. It's like when Nick Saban was here. Nick Saban said, make me play you. Force me to play you. That's the biggest thing for this team. Force King and DeBoer, force Nick Sheridan, force Kane and Womack to play you out there on the field. Brian Russell comes back with, man, this offense is going to be lit. It is. Bernard said, hey, we can score 40-plus a game. Let's see this. I mean, man, let's see this happen. Let's see this thing pop for real. Mike G, O-line last year, at times they were just plain bad. O-line is going to be much better this season with Chris Kaplovich coaching that group. Some guys that have dropped weight. Looking forward to seeing what this O-line does this season. My man Ralph Bryant with the $9.99 donation, the Super Chats. Let's get it. Let's go. Roll Tide, roll. Ralph Bryant, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you right there. Jeremy Matthews, interest of position is the secondary. So, hey, there's Jeremy's biggest position of interest. It's the secondary, and everybody's talking about those defensive backs primarily at the cornerback position. We will see. We will see. Let's see here. We got Brian Russell. He's looking at the secondary being his biggest interest right there. We got Ralph Bryant, number 1 running back, 2 secondary, 3 defensive line, 4 wide receiver. His biggest spots of interest. Deborah Franklin with a Roll Tide Friday. Roll Tide to you, Deborah. And oh, man. Cash Money. Jimmy Clay. He done it again. Another $50 donation in the bucket. But Jimmy Bad Clay. He writes it, Steven, thanks, man. Hey, Jimmy, thank you. Jet, thank you. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Don Parker. Thank all of you guys donating in, making this your show, because you don't have to do that. I greatly appreciate that. You guys valuing this show for your Alabama football news. David Williams writes in, I want to see receivers versus corners and the O-line versus D-line. The trenches, baby, versus the outside. That's what it's about, David. The trenches and the outside going at it. I'm looking forward to seeing that also. Jimmy Clay writes in, love my Crimson Tide. Jimmy, they love you as well. They love you as well. Eugene Ingram writes in, it is imperative that the defensive line get tremendous pressure on the opposing quarterback until the young secondary jelly. It's big that the defensive front get this pass rush. And Eugene will be able to see that firsthand tomorrow. Whether it's the middle guys, whether it's the guys on the edge, getting that pass rush is a big deal. It is a big deal. Don Parker writes in, I'm not making predictions, especially 40 points a game. I just hope Bama can play winning football as a team, play to the standard every play and every game, and they'll be successful. That's the key there, Don. You execute the way you're supposed to, and the success will follow. Your main responsibility is to execute the offense or defense in the way it's supposed to go, and then everything else will follow suit from that. So there you go. Jeremy Matthews, I want to see a Mark Barron thumper in the middle. He wants to see a Mark Barron thumper he wants to see a Mark Barron thumper in the secondary. Mark Barron thumper in the secondary. Now that guy, Malachi Moore, that guy, Devontae Smith, either one of those two could be that thumper right there in the secondary. Oh, man, Don Parker comes back in here with a $5 donation. Appreciate that, Don. Steven, some Bama sweet tea on me. Enjoy yourself. Hey, man, hey, let's go, Don. Let's get it, man. Bama sweet tea. I'm about that. Hey, I'm about that. Appreciate Don Parker with that $5 donation in here, and all of you guys donating to the show, making this your spot for all things Crimson Tide football. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to right now transition quickly into the final topic here of discussion. I know, but before we get to that, Jimmy wants to come back one more time with a $25 donation. My gracious. Jimmy's like, I donate because it makes me feel needed. Roll Tide. Hey, Jimmy, let's go. Jimmy, Don, Ralph, all of you guys, let's go. This is what's up right here. I appreciate all of this. Brian Russell writes in, Malachi Moore will certainly thump. He hits hard, very physical. Malachi, physical dude, man. Malachi is a physical dude, man. Gotta love the way he plays. David Williams writes in, scrimmage is hard for me to judge. Is one side of the ball that good, or is the other side of the ball that bad? The details are in the skill positions. David, that's a good point, because a lot of people look at it, if the offense plays well, you think, man, does the defense suck? Or if the defense plays well, is the offense bad? It's just good on good competition. You kind of have to read in between the lines when you look at the scrimmage. You can't go too high. You can't go too low with it. You kind of just have to read between the lines when you look at the scrimmage, man. That's what it is. You kind of have to read between the lines. Mike G writes in, what's up with Auburn? Well, I mean, they're trying to flip in-state recruits from Alabama. They're trying to do. They're hoping that Peyton Thorne is the guy quarterback. That's what Hugh Freeze is doing. Auburn's trying to get ready for their own season. Auburn is trying to get ready, man, for their own season. We will see how those guys do on the plane. We'll see. We'll see how all of that, pans out there on the plane. So, I mean, GT writes in, nothing. It's Auburn. No, nothing. It's Auburn. Well, there you go. GT18 summed it up for everybody. It's Auburn. I mean, what do you expect, man? What do you expect? But we look at right now, the final topic of conversation right here on the show, folks. We look at this 5-star wide receiver is not distracted by the media. He's blocked out all the media noise. He's blocked out all the media hype. He's focused on getting better with each practice. He's a kid, but he doesn't play like a young kid. The future is very bright for him. He has a high motor. Who am I referring to? None other than Ryan Williams of Saraland High School. Ryan is having a huge fall camp so far, and he's making one-handed catches. He's making plays left and right, but the most impressive thing, he's blocking out all the media noise. He's not paying it any type of attention, and this is awesome to hear this. I mean, because for a lot of five-star athletes, you read into your own hype sometimes. Remember, Ajayi Hall, who came, to Alabama in the 2021 class, bought into his own hype, read too much into the tea leaves, and Hall never materialized. There are a lot of five-star players that have come through Alabama that read into the media, read into the tea leaves, read into their own hype, and they never truly materialized. Here's a guy in Ryan Williams. He's not buying into that. He's blocking it out. He's not paying any type of attention. Head down, hard at work, doing what he's supposed to do to be able to get on the field, get playing time. Jeremy Bernard talked about it. He's a young kid, but doesn't play like a young kid. He's focused. He's got a high motor. He's making plays out there. He's got a bright future, and he really does. Ryan Williams right now is number 2 behind Kendrick Law. I think at the X position at the top of the formation, he's number 2 behind Kendrick Law. So that's big news. When you get a young man that 2-time Mr. Football in the state of Alabama, 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year, a guy that had such a decorative high school career, gets compared to so many former Alabama receivers. He's only 17 years old. He should still be in high school. He's only 17 years old. And he has the maturity and the wherewithal to not buy into his own hype. He has the maturity and the wherewithal to not pay any attention to the media clippings, but just focused on what he's got to do to be better, to get better, to perform well. You got to take your cap off of that man. Very impressed with Ryan Williams. Looking forward to seeing what he does in tomorrow's scrimmage and throughout his season here as a freshman. But folks, as always, you want the best in news, notes, information, coverage, entertainment on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You do this, or you get this, by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. The good and gracious Lord sees fit. We'll be back in studio on Monday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you get you that subscription, the touchdownalabama.com. Do that today, right now. Get you that subscription, the touchdownalabama.com. We got all of your camp notes, camp coverage, fall camp clippings, fall camp videos. We'll be out there tomorrow for the first scrimmage of fall camp. If you haven't done so, it's not too late. Get that subscription to touchdownalabama.com to have all of your Bama in the palm of your hands. You also subscribe to TDA Plus, our video hub, where you can get all of the practice recap and videos and all that good stuff right there as well. So you can get all of your Bama by going to touchdownalabama.com. Gotta give a shout out to all of you, the Bama fans, the Bama Nation, for the donations tonight, for you guys being active in the chat line. I love this. I love this. Appreciate each and every last one of you guys. You guys have been awesome. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.